welcome back. So we're back on with the tank. So thank you for all your comments on the last episode. Really good. Yeah, I liked what you said about the body. Like, a lot of people like the steel body and a lot of people like the fiberglass body. So I think we're going to do a mash-up of the both. So we're going to probably just run the steel body at the moment, but we will probably take a mould of it. So in the future, we could put a fiberglass body on it. Main problem is I ain't got anywhere to store another fiberglass body because I've got so many fiberglass moulds stuck up on the landing, and this one's going to be a really big one. So I'll have to work out where I'm going to store it. But that's a problem for another day. But I think we'll probably make a fiberglass mould of it and then eventually make a fiberglass body. At the moment, so we're in with cleaning up the floor so we can get some frost fur primer on this, and then we can weld through the primer. So at the moment I'm just cleaning up the floor, so got most of the rust off of it. But look at the difference between the floor, where this is where all the batteries were and the water was getting stuck, and that's the floor behind the crossmember where the water wasn't getting. There is no rust in that at all. It isn't like on a car where this rust is like really bad. This floor is really thick. A little bit of surface rust on it isn't going to hurt it, and we're just going to clean all that off and treat that, and then we can start to put all the new cross members back in. So yeah, so I've come in early on this is on a Sunday, so I want to really get onto this on Monday, but so I've come in Sunday morning to get in there with my noisy, sorry earphone users, needle gun the floor, and then just go after that. We just finish it off with a rotary wire brush on a 4.5-inch angle grinder. So that's what I'm going to be doing at the minute. I'm not going to video it because it doesn't really nothing happens very quick, and it's very noisy. So available in the Swampthing 4x4 shop, you can get your Swampthing ear defenders, and that's what I'll be using this morning. But let me get a crack on with this and I'll get you back to when I've got it finished. Okay, so we're all sanded down now, all cleaned up. Just going in with some cellulose thinners and just wiping up all the grease now. So trying to show you what to do. Don't normally use my feet to do panel wiping, but yeah, so gonna put a nice coat of phosphate primer all in the bottom of this. Should dry overnight, and then we'll be ready in the morning to start putting all the cross braces and everything in the bottom, and also starting to put the floor back in once we've got the seat bases in place. So there is the floor all in phosphate primer. Now, you might ask, why have I painted it now before I've done the welding? The reason is that because you're not seam welding absolutely everything there, and you don't want to have bare metal underneath new metal that you're putting in. Yeah, so this, you can weld through this primer, but what I'll do is I'll just buzz the edges, because I'm going to mark it all out, mark where I want to weld it, buzz the edges out, and then weld straight the way through it. It's just a neater way of doing it, so you haven't got bare metal underneath new metal. Yeah, because we don't want it to rust. It's really thick anyway. The tank is in really good condition. We've got some other, I keep calling it a tank. People are gonna get upset with me. A lot of people ask what this is. So this originally was full metal jacket in America. Then it came over to the UK, run as full metal jacket, and then it turned into Armageddon, which is when I bought this tank. So it's an M59 tank. Georgina, put some clips in now of what an M59 tank. Well, I keep saying tank, it hasn't got a gun on it. It's an armoured personnel carrier. The unusual thing about this is, when it was an armoured personnel carrier, this end is the front. So yeah, on the tank, this was the front. Now, it always had two engines in it. So it'd have two engines, straight sixes either side. So it'd have on the body, the engine would be about here, one either side. The driver controls would be at the front, and at the back, which is now the front, this would have a door in it here. So that's how the soldiers, the military could get in the back of it. Now, believe it or not, this thing was actually amphibious. This thing could float. Back in the day, this thing weighed 26 tons, but you've got to remember, it had all the armour on the top of it. It hasn't got any of that now. But the reason why it's swapped round, the direction is swapped round, so now that is the back and this is the front. Normal tank engines actually run the other way round to a normal conventional engines. So if you'd have put the engine straight into this, you'd have had 3 reverse gears and 1 forward gear. So that is why the body and the controls have been turned round for it to work on this. So I just thought I'd give you a little bit of history. A lot of people have been asking, like, yeah, that's an original one from the back in the 80s, early 90s. I go, yes it is, yes it is. This was full metal jacket, which is actually the sister truck. The same person built the Bigfoot fast tracks. There was a couple of these built, and this is the sister truck to Bigfoot fast tracks. So it's the next day, and we came in early to paint the floor, and it's still not dry, but we can still get on with, because I can still start cutting all the tube and all the steel out. So got this, we managed to get this big bit out. We've had this bit for a while, and it was right at the back of all the steel.
Had to get loads out.
So I got that bit out, and I've just phoned one of my friends up for Mark Hussey Engineering, and he's got the other bits of box section I need. So I'm going to run over there and get that now. What else have we been up to, Georgina?
We've been working on the mini monsters again.
Oh yeah, so we just finished the mini monster. Putting one of the mini monsters in primer. So yeah, so that's what this looks like at the moment. So yeah, but I'm just going to run out and go and get some steel. Then we can start cutting all this lot up, drilling all the holes, so we can mount all the steering back in the tank. So the floor is now dried, and so we've dropped the cross members in. So these ones aren't exactly in the right place. They're just setting the cross member for distance. So we've got it all in there nice and square, got a nice little gap around it so we can weld it up. So the first thing I'm going to do is weld this one in. So I'm going to weld most of it in and stitch weld it through the middle. I'll check once I've welded the ends, I'll see what gap, if we've got a gap underneath it, because we might need to get a jack underneath it and jack the floor up. At the moment, it's good, we don't have to jack the floor up, so that's a good thing at the minute, because it's nice and flat on the bottom. So let me get on with some welding. So at the minute I'm just tacking it all in place, so I've got it nice and square, and it's not going to move when I put a lot of heat into it. So with welding, you want to get penetration. So this is what penetration looks like. So Georgina's going to go on the other side from where I'm welding.
Which is down here. That looked amazing.
Right, now I'm going, so what I'm doing is so you can see there,
yeah,
that's the weld I've just done, and what I'm going to do now is just go over that weld once again to make the weld nice and big, nice and strong.
That looks amazing.
Oh, I've got to stop welding for a bit, because now the thing's getting so hot I can't even kneel on it.
It's heated seat.
Yeah, so yeah, let that cool down for a bit, then I can finish welding the other side of that, do a few more stitch welds, and then we can start getting in the next cross members for where the pedals are going to go.
It looks incredible.
Pedals? Levers!
Levers, yeah. It looks awesome. It looks really beefy. And so these bits is what is this what the steering kind of sits on?
No, the steering ones are them ones over there.
Yeah, but these ones will go essentially between that silver bar that
Sort of what happens is it sort of like this,
and if you put that one in,
and then that one goes like that.
and it sits between them.
Sits between it, and then the other ones go in there as well.
But yeah,
And then we've got to put in the pieces. So then there's, it's the wrong size, but you get what I mean. That bit goes in there like that, ties it back into that one, and then we've got some more that go through the floor going backwards that way.
they're a little bit different shape compared to these ones.
They're lower because they have to go under this.
Yeah, the suspension. It looks really
But you
good.
sort of get the gist of how it's going back together. And then of course then we've got to get more of these all the way through here so we can put the floor back in. But before that we've got to get the seats bases in. But I've got a lot more welding to do. Just got to wait for it to cool down a little bit so I can kneel back down on the floor, because even though I'm standing on the floor, it's getting hot. So we're getting on to where we're putting the controls back in. And I asked Georgina to get me the square. And she goes, I can't find it, I can't find it. I goes, it's there on the bench, I've been using it all day. She goes, well, that's not a square, that's a triangle. It's called a set square.
I'm not wrong, it is a triangle.
We need this so we get things straight. So even though it's a triangle, it's a square.
So yeah, you're just mocking up where because we measured it on this paper sheet here, where the old ones were. What's that?
Very, very, so those are the measurements to the holes.
Yeah, so basically we want it to line up where the old ones line up at the
Just
back.
further forwards. This
Yeah.
thing is still really hot. We've had a piece of wood in here so I could carry on welding. But yeah, so I think this one's.
Was it the one with the number 1 written on it's quite special because it's got a little cutout bit so the lever can actually pivot and not hit anything.
But this thing will be underneath it once it's in the right once I've marked it and it's in the right place.
Because what we didn't show is when we put this big bar in earlier, we put it in, sharpied it, and then like sort of grinded the floor away so we could have a nice clean bit to weld on, which I imagine is what Dad's kind of up to at the minute.
No, it's just so I know where to line up this cross member. So because it's now got a weld underneath it, I've got to take off a little bit of the ends.
Yeah.
So it sit flat on the floor, but that's where that first one goes. I've got to take off that little bit there because that weld there is in the way. So now you can see it's starting to take shape. So they're not bolted in fully yet. I've only got a couple of tacks on them. So that one is in. Started putting in the new cross members for the next steering lever to mount onto. So that will go in something like that. I haven't set that one in properly yet. So now you can see it's taking shape, and then of course we've got a cool. Pass the thing.
It's probably easier if you do it.
Probably easier if I do it. So let the camera focus. So now you can see where the levers go. So that is where the steering rod connects onto, and it connects onto that one there. Also in the bottom of there, I've punched through a hole so we can weld through that, but they're also getting seam welded all the way round. So that's just got one tack either end at the moment, holding that one in place. But there is the steering all in. Got the steering shaft in straight because last time it was a bit wonky. I don't know why that happened, but yeah. But then we got to fill in that piece there to tie it back into this cross member. And then we've got new cross members going up the middle of the floor, which it never had before, to tie it into the back there, just to stop the floor from twisting. So I've finished the next mini monster truck, so that one's done. One more to do. Let's get Big Pete in. Go on, Big Pete, in you come. So on the tank steering, it's actually done with pull rods. So this is what a pull rod is. So it's just it's got a clevis at one end really long bar, another clevis at the other end. Pull on the levers, it pulls on the thing, transfers the pressure from the levers to the back of the truck. Now, because I've moved the steering further forward, I need to lengthen the steering rods. Now, there is quite a bit of adjustment on it, so I'm going to just take them all apart and clean it up and see if I've got enough adjustment, or I've really got to lengthen this. Now, there is a way of lengthening it without replacing the whole bar, because I've actually got some bar the same thickness as of it, but I'm pretty sure there's enough adjustment on it that I don't need to do this. I could weld that on one end of it and then sleeve over the top with a tube, so it isn't just on the one joint, because I'd actually grind all the way through it and put it like a spike into it, weld it all up and then sleeve it and plug it, a little bit like you do a repair on a roll cage. But I don't think I'm gonna have to do that, so I'm just about to take all the threads off. So I've got some great stuff, Lucas Toolbox Buddy, great for penetrating, so I'll spray that all over the joints. But on this, I'll show you what it looks like. So to stop everything from waggling about, they have these mounts in it, and these were welded onto the chassis of the tank. I don't know why they done it, because it'd been so much easier if you'd have bolted it onto it, because if you need to take this rod off for any reason, you can't, because it's welded on. They've got a thread on the end of it where you could have had a bracket and just unbolt it. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make it so this bit bolts on and off, so I don't have to cut them off to try and get them off the tube. So what I'm doing at the minute is just mocking up the steering. So the steering, I thought I might have enough adjustment in it. We haven't. So I'm going to try and order some more steel, but I want to get it working at the moment. So this is how I'm going to fix it. So that is the piece I've put in. If you notice, I've chamfered down all the ends. I've cut, so that was joined together. I've chamfered down the ends on that. So now what I'm going to do is going to put that there, get this one. I'll have to move some toolboxes on the other end of it. No, we're all good. So then I can clamp that in there, tack it up and then weld that, keep spinning it, but I'll get a few tacks in it first. And then if you noticed on here, there's already a rod, a tube, and that is so we can weld over the top of this, so we're not just relying on the weld. So it's going to be a nice strong weld there, so we're going to sleeve over the top of it as well. So there is the piece all welded in. So I'll put a mark where the tube has to start. I'll slide that piece down there, and that gets welded on like that. So there is the steering, all extended, all sleeved over. Now, trying to wiggle it back in the tank. So we've got Big Pete in the spray booth and we're just going around it. So it had quite a bit of damage on it. So this originally started off the same as all the other mini monster trucks, and I made it look like a Peterbilt. So I cut the bonnet, sectioned it down, lowered it down, and then added the big wheel arches. And where I've done it together, I knew it would happen. This has been done for over 10 years. It's got cracks around where all the joins are. But it also, I made it taller and shorter. So I've actually modified all the top of this as well. So we're gonna go through it, and just put, this time we're gonna do all the filler in like we did last time. But on this is a joint that if this gets bashed, which it does do now and again, it cracks there. So I'm actually gonna put a flexible sealer in there as well, because that is where the main cracks. The rest of the other cracks didn't look that bad. It obviously had a big crash in the front because that bit is there, that is missing. So we got to put a new piece in there, and it's just damaged all the way round. Little bits on the corner, bits on the bumper.
Isn't that Big Pete's catchphrase? Do you want to see some damage?
Do you want to see some damage?
We've definitely got some damage. Here's some damage. So yeah, but I'm sure we can get this done fairly quickly, because we want to get on with the tank, but Gary needs these back. So yeah, let's crack on with this one now. So we've got Big Pete upside down, just finishing off the fiberglass repair. So we're making sure we got all the corners really tight. We've already been over with the main roller, but it's just really hard to get in this piece here. So yeah, so we've got all those bits done, all the corners replaced. So we've got to go around this bit here. So I've done all the corners, all the bits of the wheel arch. And on this bit, that bit was missing completely, so I've had to fiberglass both sides of that. So then we're going to have to blend all that in. While that's drying, we can get back on with the tank. So since, I can't remember what we videoed, so I'll just show you what we've got now. So all the steering is bolted in, so that one isn't connected at the minute, because I've still got to extend that one. So there's the one I've just extended. You can see the joint at the back. We haven't got any of the supports in yet because I'm ordering some new rod ends so we can bolt them in. The seat base is just sat there at the minute. So the thing we had to do is when we was making this all, the steering has to go through the middle of the seat.
Move your right leg up. Okay, you can see it now.
So the steering goes through the middle of the seat. And then we got, nice suspension.
But also, as you can see now, the seat is now further forward, so...
Yeah, so then we've got more room here.
We also added these bits in here.
Yeah, it's got the one through the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really good. Right, so I'm gonna make the new one through the back now. So for that one, and we can adjust them, and we've got to cut the seat base and put that seat base in then as well. Then, so what we've got to do is then drill the bases into the bottom of the tank, and then we can see about making the seat bases so we can mount the seats onto the top of the suspension seats.
We now have a square. What bit was that from anyways?
I can't remember what this is from. It's an old piece of something or other.
Yeah.
Just needs cleaning up. We've got to weld up a few little holes in it, but
Yeah.
like,
But it's about the size and thickness we want.
yeah, it's quite thick, yeah. So it's 5mm thick.
So now we've got to measure roughly where the seat's going to sit on it.
Yeah. So put centre line in it. Put the seat on it.
Yeah.
Then make the seat fit this, and then this fit that. So this is Friday, and what we do on a Friday is we tidy up the office. And I'm going to see if I can do it again. I don't know where this come from. It was on the floor, but it got stuck in the Hoover.
It's like a fly.
It makes it even louder. That is... Sorry if you've got headphones on.
It looks like the surface of Mars in here, but it's all finished.
Yeah, so it's come out really nice. Yeah, really happy. No more big holes, because remember at the front, we had to cut the holes off, and most of the corners were knocked off of it. And what we've done this time, a little bit different, we put some flexible sealer in where the wheel arches join on, because where they get smacked, it cracks the fiberglass there. So just made that little bit of adjustment in it, so hopefully it should stay together. So nearly finished making the seat mat bracket. So remember, this bolts on top of the pedestal. So the thing we've got to do now is put in the harnesses. So these are my harnesses I use. These are an old set, so we'll have to put a new set in, but it's good for mocking up. So what we've got to do next is mount the harness about there. So we're going to have to weld another bracket onto here to mount that. Same on the other side, and then where the harnesses come through on the back, we've already got this up. That's what this bar's for. So we weld a bracket on there so we can bolt the harnesses on there. Some people you could wrap them around it, but I like to bolt mine on and off. Already got the lap belt one in, so that one's come around the front. You can see it's under there.
Have we actually?
Sorry, the crutch strap.
Have we actually shown the people this? Because I'm not sure if we have yet. Because we've sort of just been so busy that we just kind of just made it.
What's that?
I don't think, have we shown people on the vlog actually this bit? Because we made this bit, but I'm not sure if we ever shown it.
Right, yeah. So on this seat, it's supported at the top. It's supported through the bottom. So I haven't got the bolts through it at the moment, but there's holes in there where it bolts through the bottom, and it's supported at the front. But yeah, so we've got to make all this, and then this is like this big plate here is an adapter plate to connect it into the seat that's in the tank.
Yeah, on that flat bit there.
Yeah, so that's what adapts it from this to that.
I remember it's test fitting it. You put the seat on and you sit in it and you go. Phew.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the moment it's on its low setting, so we can put it up on its high setting later. But yeah. So I've just got to weld the brackets on for the seat belts, and then what we're gonna probably do, we've been looking at. You've got the where is it?
Where's what?
The gear stick.
Oh right. We had to take it apart because we wanted to get the gear like.
Yeah, so we want to mount the gear stick on this platform as well. So the gear stick's going to mount up here somewhere. When I sit in it, we're going to work it out, and then we're going to make a bracket that comes from the seat up to the gear stick, so the gear stick goes up and down with you as well. So the seat and all the seat belts and everything is all mounted in. Now it has got a little bit of wiggle in it, but Georgina says it's mainly me that's wiggling. But if it's annoying, I can put. I've got enough metal on the back that I could put a panhard rod to link the seat to the side of the tank. But I'll have a look at that anyway. So the next thing I want to do is work out where the gear stick is going, and then we can work out where the next seat is going.
Because the gear stick we got is here.
Yeah. I want to mount that up here somewhere, I think.
Here you go. Can you reach it? Make sure you can definitely engage park, because we couldn't do that before.
Oh yeah, it's in part there.
Yeah.
But then we've got to make sure there's enough room to get the next seat in as well.
Yeah, that's our next problem. At the minute, it's not a whole lot extra room.
No. It's filled up very quickly.
Yeah. It looks pretty impressive though.
Yeah.
Obviously the seatbelts Dad's wearing is our old ones. We'll get new ones, but we're just using it for testing purposes.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to mock everything up with these. So.
Yeah. So we've got our ratchet on this side, because you don't want it on the other side, you can't get your hands down it.
Well, you could have. Well, no, you can't. It's not very easy to get your hands
No,
down
it's
there.
not.
So the battery shut off and the fuel shut offs are going to be here.
So that's going to be 3 lots of switch.
Yeah, three switches there, 3 push cables.
The good thing is if you eventually just go and just smack all of them at once.
Yeah. So.
Now, let's show where Dad is currently sat in relation. I think that's pretty decent now.
Yeah.
He's got quite a lot of room.
And it goes down from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because the seat is on its highest setting at the minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and when you get out of it, it goes up.
Yeah, it's really weird. Oh, I think it actually stayed in the same place.
No, it didn't. It went up.
Oh, did it?
Oh my god, look.
Oh, yeah, okay. It just didn't look like it moved on camera. Oh, yeah, I can see it now. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
That does wiggle a fair amount.
yeah, orange.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't look that bad now. We still haven't figured out where it bottoms out yet, because we still got loads more travel on the shock absorber. So whenever we first test it, we're going to stick a camera in it and see how far down the seat actually goes.
Stick a camera underneath it.
Yeah. Oh, you sat on the gear stick, Dad. You always put like a cable tie on it so you can see how much travel you actually got.
Yeah.
That was the original method.
Yeah, the original method was an O-ring.
No rig.
But then you have to take it apart and do that.
Yeah, well that's just silly. What are you looking at now then?
I'm just looking about if I put a tie bar on it to tie it to the thing so it can go up and down sideways. Panhard rod on it.
So what is our next step? Is the gear stick in it?
Gear stick and have a look at that panhard rod on it. Oh, see if I can just make a one up quickly just to see. just tack it up in there just to see what it looks, if it takes the rock out of the seat. It's going to be quite big because the only smallest rod end I've got is 3/4 inch. Right, so the problem we have with the seat is when we got it bolted in there, you've got a lot of leverage at the top. So if you do that, look how much.
Give it a proper wiggle.
That is, so it's just
Yeah.
pulling it really hard.
Yeah. Which is
Now,
not what we want.
Not what we want, no. So the idea of this seat is a full containment seat. So it's meant to have a mount across the back because also the seat will twist a little bit, but it's also rocking on the base. So, am I bleeding? Because I've just bashed my head.
You are a little bit, but it's all right.
Yeah.
It's only a small bit.
Yeah. It wouldn't be if it's been one of my build videos if I'm not bleeding from my head somewhere.
Or have a dirty face.
Oh, have we got dirty face as well?
No, you're good actually.
Oh,
You're good today.
Okay, so on an axle on a car where you have a 3-link suspension, you have a panhard rod. So that's a rod that goes from the chassis across the width of the vehicle onto the end of the axle, and that stops the axle moving from side to side.
But the funny bit is the axle does pivot left to right in the wheel well, because when it goes down, it actually...
A little bit,
Yeah.
But it goes backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
As the suspension goes up.
Yeah,
and
that's
down.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
And that's exactly what the seat does. So what we have to do is add a panhard rod. So I've just mocked one up.
So this is the rod itself.
Yeah, so this is the rod itself. I know it's a lot bigger than it should be because you would use this to hold an axle in on a car. You wouldn't even use a rod end that big for that. But it's all I had. So let's put the bolt in.
Yeah, so
At the moment, it's only got 2 tacks on it holding it in because we wanted to make sure
it worked.
it was going to solve the problem.
Considering how much it wiggled a minute ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
You
is-
can do it before and after, side by side.
Yeah.
If you're really clever.
I am clever.
Right, let's get the bolt in. Alright, so now it's only finger tight.
But it barely moves.
Barely moves. And also, right, so if you give me the camera, Georgina.
Yeah.
You're not as heavy as me, but... Alright, so you walk on there, stand on the seat and jump up and down. See?
So we know it goes backwards. We
know it goes backwards. That's why we've got the rod end in there, and I put a misalignment bush there. All this bit's going to get cut off anyway because it's literally I just found a big bit of metal. That's miles too big anyway, but it's what I had lying around, and that's going to get welded into the chassis, into the roll cage. But yeah, what a difference that makes. Right, so what we're doing up now is mocking up where the gear selector is. So the problem we had before is where it was mounted, I couldn't get out of park because it was down here somewhere, and with the seat belts on, you couldn't reach it. CJ said when he used to drive it, he always used to put it into neutral, which was back there. So if you can see where it all wobbles a bit because it's all spaced up a minute. But now, so that is, I can get at park, which I can get if I'm all in the harnesses. I'll just bring it back a little bit.
Thing is, it wobbles when you change gear, which you
Yeah,
won't do
fine.
that eventually, but it's just at the
Let's
minute.
put a mark where that is now. Right, actually, it's on where I marked it up earlier. So what I've done on the inside of this, you might want to come right. You're gonna have to show them this bit.
Oh, so get in. Hold on.
Right. So that lines up with the edge of the seat.
Yeah.
So that is the point where the gear stick wants to be when I'm sat here, all seat belted back in. I'm pushing my back hard back into the seat, and I can get parked really easily. So then the other thing you want to be able to make sure is you get the other end of the gear stick, which will be first gear. Put that back there, line it all back up.
Hopefully, at least I'm not sure if Dad wants it, but hopefully that will turn into third gear because it's quite.
Well, I've dropped the gearboxes down to Zane, and this is what's the matter with one of the gearboxes. It's actually exploded part of the gearbox inside. You can see from this picture it's got lots and lots of cracks in it, but that was the one what was labelled up bad, and I've just phoned him up to try. I want to find out what gear package it's got in there, because in my monster truck I have reverse patterns. Now this is a standard pattern, so when you come out of neutral you would normally go into drive or third gear, and on an automatic gearbox, it normally you put it in there, and what would happen? It would go 1, 2, 3, and it would go into top gear. We have manual valve bodies in the trucks and it's in the tank. But what I have is a reverse pattern. So when I have it in neutral, the first gear it will go into is first, not third. Second will be in the same place, and that one would be third gear. That is what I would like in it, because that is what I'm used to.
Yeah, otherwise...
And if you get it wrong, you blow up the engines, because you can go from second gear, and if you push it the wrong way, you go into first gear.
Yeah,
and the rev limiter does not stop it.
So with Podzilla, he has it set up exactly how it is at the minute.
Yeah.
But also, it's just a little bit of a preference thing. If you're reversing back from the cars, you've got to go a long way to get to first. You've got to
go from reverse to first.
Which is a lot of like chunk to get down.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get that put the other way.
So I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the height. And so now what we've got to do is replicate this onto the seat, because at the moment the seat is compressed and the gear stick is where I want it. Yeah. So now I've got to sit in the seat. Georgina's got to measure from the base of the seat, the big adapter plate, to where this is up on here. So at the moment we've got a 4-inch spacer in there, but the spacer actually goes down below the seat. So Georgina's got to measure what the difference is, then we can put this on the seat, and then that is the seat base finished. So both the seats are now in the truck. So I keep calling it truck, don't I?
I don't understand how.
It's a tank. It's because I'm used to monster trucks. So yeah, so both the seats are now in. All the bases are in place. We can actually get the steering connected on this one now, because we've got the base down on the floor. So yeah, but both the seats are sitting in there side by side, and I can get a bigger seat in there. So I will get another 16-inch seat, because that one's a 14, I think that one, isn't it, Georgina?
Yeah.
So that's the smallest one, but we can actually get the bigger seat in there as well. So I'm going to have to order another big seat and then make another base plate up. They don't take that long to make, do they now, Georgina?
Took about a couple hours.
Couple of hours, yeah, because I've got to know how they work, I've got my head around how to do it now. So yeah, but that's the end of the video for this week. Going to carry on with it. Next week, we're going to start building the roll cage on the front. So make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you back here on the next episode, where we're going to start putting the roll cage in the front of the tank. It's a tank, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Suck me in small.